Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining from your house, from your couch, from your desk, from your chair. Maybe you're joining from the bathroom. Either way, I am grateful that you would join us. I recognize that there's a ton of media that you could be consuming right at your fingertips. And I'm grateful that you're here right now to join us. So my hope is that you would come away from this feeling encouraged, feeling hopeful, and feeling inspired by what the Lord is doing. My name is J.B. Ward. I am the Young Life Metro Director for Pittsburgh. Young Life's mission statement is introducing adolescents to Jesus Christ and helping them grow in their faith. We do this by going where kids are, earning the right to be heard. We build relationships with them. We invite them into a life with Jesus Christ, and we love them regardless of their response. Luke 19, Jesus says, the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. And so we will keep going to reach every kid. Young Life is present in all 50 states, in over 100 countries internationally. But over the last 5 years, we've experienced unprecedented growth right here in Pittsburgh. Over the past 5 years, we've tripled the amount of schools that we're in. We've over tripled the amount of Young Life staff that we have. We're reaching 5,000 kids across the greater Pittsburgh area. And these are students that are middle school students, high school students, college students, they're teen moms, they're students with disabilities, and we have an opportunity to share the gospel with them. See, these 26 Young Life staff that we have right now, they spend 60 plus hours a week at the local high school, doing ministry at their high school and also at the college campus. They spend time going to the college campuses where they are developing leaders, developing college-age leaders, developing post-grad leaders, leaders who can join hands and join and partner in a long, sustainable work and ministry. And while ministry and momentum and energy is on our side and we're excited about our growth, we have not even scratched the surface of the impact that we can have. See, if you draw a 45-minute radius around Pittsburgh, you'll hit 82 high school communities and the middle schools that feed them. When you consider all those school campuses, we're actually only present in 15% of the schools in the greater Pittsburgh area. We have a long way to go. Ministry is ripe for growth in Pittsburgh. See, my hope for this event is that you would take that map of Pittsburgh and that you would take your fingers and you would just pinch to zoom and zoom in on your community, on your local high school, or the Young Life staff that you have a great friendship with. See, we want to update you. We want to share with you what's going on. The ministry at your high school is not owned by Young Life, it's owned by the community. Young Life is a locally owned organization where Young Life staff and community members are linking arms to satisfy the mission of reaching every kid. Now, some of you are new to Young Life, or you're unfamiliar with the mission of Young Life or where we're headed in Pittsburgh. And so what I want to do is I want to take a moment to share a 5-minute video that will explain to you the mission and vision of Young Life in Pittsburgh. And when that video is over, you'll get to hear from your local Young Life staff, and they're going to get to share with you what's going on locally. So thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the video. Pittsburgh is an incredible city. It's full of grit, resolve, resilience, and over generations, Pittsburgh has changed and re-identified itself.
Pittsburghers are deeply passionate about the city, fiercely loyal, a great amount of pride.
People genuinely love Pittsburgh. It's soulful.
It doesn't really fit into any demographic. It's not really an East Coast city. It's not Midwest. It's a friendly city that has an edge to it. In my mind, a place that's ripe for ministry and for ministry growth. Young Life to me is life-on-life relationships. It's earning the right to be heard. Our goal is to plug students back in to the local church through, contact work, which is going where kids are and building relationships.
We're reaching middle school students, high school students, college students, teen moms, kids with disabilities. We are for every kid because Jesus was for every kid.
I
I love contact work. Contact work is life on life with high school kids.
I love what we do as with Young Life is earning the right to be heard. When we link up with these kids, like giving them time to just be themselves.
I think kids often believe that if they mess up or if they do something wrong, that they won't be loved or that they can't follow Jesus or that Jesus won't love them. And so it's fun that I think as Young Life leaders, we get to come and walk alongside and say, hey, it doesn't matter. The God of the universe loves you no matter what.
Young Life is there to bridge that gap and to go to kids where they are so that they can know the best news in the world, that God treasures them and loves them, and express that in the person of Jesus Christ. I am so glad that I heard about Jesus when I was 15. I'm so glad that Young Life didn't stop before it got to me.
Hey, go get him out there, Dimitri.
We always joke that club is a party with a purpose. It is high energy, high fun.
They're having some fun, they're playing some games, they're listening to music, but at the end of all that, like they get to hear a proclamation of the gospel. And that's just exciting, because that really blows the roof off of whatever you are doing.
Campaigners is an opportunity for kids to gather around the Bible and actually read it for themselves and get something out of it. And I always start campaigners with, okay, let's leave here differently than when we came.
Camp is an incredible opportunity for kids to get away from the mess, get away from the distractions, and it is the fullest concentration of the gospel that we have in Young Life.
Committee is a group of adults in a community that care about kids, that know Jesus, that want to share the love and hope of Jesus with their community.
I don't think we can do it without adults. Adults are the lifeblood for sustainability and success on a broader level.
There are a number of ways that you can plug in to make a difference. One way is obviously that you can be a donor, that you can be a volunteer leader and you can work with kids directly, and we'd love to have you be a partner in that. One way is that you could be on a Young Life committee in the community that you live in. And maybe the most important way you can be involved is that you can be a person who prays that young people in your community and young people all over the Pittsburgh area might have a chance to know Jesus. A lot of things happen because people like you pray. So please pray.
What we try to do in Young Life is to reach the farthest out kid and earn the right to be heard. It says that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and kids have full lives, and we should be full representatives to them.
We want every high school community to have Young Life because we believe that every kid should have the opportunity to know Jesus. Young Life is on the move. Kids' lives are changing, communities are being strengthened, and we want you to join our team.
Good evening and welcome to this special event. I'm Mark Gaither, the chair of the Upper St. Clair Young Life Committee, and this is my wife, Amy. On behalf of Upper St. Clair and Peters Township Young Life Committee, we are grateful that you are with us this evening. Over the next half hour, you'll get to hear the what, the who, and the why behind Young Life, not only in our communities, but in Pittsburgh as a whole. We hope that you walk away with a better understanding and appreciation for Young Life.
My name is Dave Wilker, and this is my wife, Missy. Together, we co-chair the Peters Township Young Life Committee. As Mark said, we're glad you're with us tonight. We wish we could be together to celebrate what God has done through Young Life in our communities. But we are hopeful that this program will give an accurate depiction of the impact that Young Life is having in our communities. We're glad you're with us tonight, and we hope you enjoy the program.
Hello, thank you so much for being with us this evening. This is a little bit weird. I've never done this before. I don't think many of us have, but this is what we resort to when there's a pandemic. So We desperately wanted to be with you all in person. We had grand ideas for a great evening planned later in May, but things happened and here we are. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited about this opportunity to share with you what's going on with Young Life here in the South Hills, specifically Upper St. Clair and Peters Township. Young Life has been in Upper St. Clair since the mid 1960s, and we've experienced a lot of really cool things over that time. I've been here for the last 7, and I want to introduce myself. If you don't know me already, my name is Nick Allen, and I'm the area director for Young Life here in the South Hills. I'm going to share something with you here. This is my family. This is my wife, Beth Ann, and my 2 beautiful daughters, Evie Mae, who's 2 years old, and Maggie Jane, who's 2 months old. And they're a handful. My 2-year-old daughter thinks that I work as a pulmonary specialist. She calls this lung life, which is amazing to me every time she says it. It's fantastic. She's adorable. We love my family, and we live here in Upper St. Clair, and we're grateful to be here doing ministry and doing Young Life. And I moved here right out of college to do Young Life here in this community. But we have another staff person in Peters Township. His name is Mike Fisher, and you're going to get to hear from him in just a second. And he recently married his lovely wife, Kylie, and she has been a long-time Young Life leader here in the South Hills. I want to give you a broad sweep, sort of an update on just where we are in terms of this past year with sort of the numbers here with Young Life in the South Hills. We have 7 volunteer leaders. Now, volunteer leaders, as you saw in the video, are the lifeblood of what we do. We can't do Young Life without these volunteer leaders, and they're amazing, and they're at the local high schools all the time, meeting kids on their own terms and on their own turf, getting to know them. And then we have the 2 staff, me and Mike, as I mentioned. We have, between the 2 schools, or 2 communities, Upper St. Clair and Peters, we plus a middle school ministry called Wildlife. We know roughly 430 kids between those 9 people listed up there. So that's tremendous. It's just an example of how committed we are to being in the world of kids all the time. You heard about Club in the video. Club is a weekly party with a purpose where kids get to come and be themselves and hear about Jesus at the end of that time. And we average about 37 kids this school year at those meetings, which were in person. But we've shifted our campaigner strategy here in the pandemic, which is the next one. We are still continuing with campaigners and continuing to meet kids how we're able to, despite the restrictions, via Zoom call and other forms of social media. But Campaigners is still happening. It's a weekly Bible study where kids come and grow in their faith, and we're averaging about 18 kids at Campaigners weekly. And then, as I mentioned, Wildlife is our middle school ministry, and we have that currently in Upper St. Clair. We average about 21 kids per Wildlife meeting, which is a little bit different than Young Life, but it's awesome too. And we hope to have Wildlife in Peters Township a little bit down the road. I'm going to shift now to Peters. I think the person best suited to talk about what's going on over there is Mike. As I mentioned, mid-60s, Upper St. Clair Young Life started. 2019, Peters Township Young Life got off the ground. We hired Mike, and they are off and running. So he's going to give you an awesome update about what's been going on with Young Life in Peters Township. Mike, take it away.
Hey, everybody. I'm not sure if you can see me. I honestly can't tell, but I hope you can. As Nick said, I'm Mike Fisher. I am the new staff associate in the South Hills area, and more specifically in Peters Township. And I'm really excited to be in front of you guys tonight to share just how much the Lord has done in Peters Township specifically over this past year. So I'll start out by saying in September, when it was me and one volunteer leader, Casey Orwig, we knew about 15 kids in Peters Township. But now, with the addition of 2 new leaders, my wife, Kylie, and Ian, we now know 197 students in the high school. Our first ever campaigners was in October, and we had 10 students come. That has grown, and our last campaigners in person, we had 24 students with us. Kylie, Casey, and I all coached different sports at Peters Township this year. That moved from cross country, track and field, basketball, and volleyball. Shortened season there, but same with track and field. But our leaders have been able to meet kids at dismissal, soccer games, football games, basketball games, practices from cross country, track and field, volleyball. We've met them around the community at Chipotle, Aldi, Topgolf, Starbucks, running along the Montour Trail, and many more. During the shelter in place, you would think that we were shut down, but we weren't. We continued to show up in the world of kids. We just met them virtually. Our leaders have been on Fortnite, on Call of Duty. They've played board games, online trivia, in-home scavenger hunts, bake-offs, and more to be around kids. We've adapted and are offering small group sessions, Zoom workouts, and as Nick said, we're continuing with our campaigners. Where are we going, you might ask? Well, we don't know what the summer holds and what the fall holds, but we are going ahead as if they will be back to normal. So with that being said, our goals for next year in Peters are large, but we believe our God is big and can do big things. So our first goal is to have our own club here in Peters Township, and we hope that we can invite 100 kids each week to be a part of it. By next summer, we're hoping to take a camp trip and fill our own bus here in Peters. By 2023, we want to invite every student in Peters Township High School personally to come to Young Life, which we know it's Young Life, but really it's an invitation to start a relationship with Christ. Guys, those are the updates I have. Back to you, Nick.
Fantastic. That was a great state of the Young Life. Thanks, Fish. Appreciate you. Yeah, he's right. Amazing things have happened there over the last year, and many more to come. It's completely mind-blowing to me and to most of us what's gone on in Peters Township with Young Life just in a short period of time. So super encouraging. Now what we're going to do is we're going to transition to a time where you guys get to hear from some of these people who are involved. You're going to get in a second to hear from some high school kids who have been directly impacted by Young Life. You're going to get to hear from some Young Life leaders who are in the thick of it, rolling up their sleeves and being in the world with kids. And then you're going to get to hear from some adults, both some parents who have kids involved and how they've seen the impact happen there, and also a member of our Upper St. Clair committee. So I'm going to share a video with you now, and that is that'll take a few minutes, and then we'll be back with you guys in just a few.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Why don't we just start off by introducing yourselves? Maybe mention your name, what school you go to, what grade you're in, and your favorite memory with a Young Life leader. Vic, why don't we start with you?
Hi, I'm Victoria Cuba. I attend Upper St. Clair High School. I'm a junior, and my favorite memory with my leader is at Young Life Camp. Every night we would sit outside on the porch and we would talk about our day and our faith, and it was a great opportunity for me to grow in relationships with them and with God.
That's great. Julian?
I'm Julian Mazio. I go to Peters Township High School. I'm in 11th grade. And my favorite memory with my Young Life leader was the one day Fish asked me to help him out, move some of his friends in. So we spent a long day driving from the Upper St. Clair, then to Penn Hills. You know, we had a good talk about faith on the car ride down there. And on the way back, he asked if I wanted the best chicken sandwich ever. I said yes, obviously. So he took me to Bird on the Run. We had some good eats, and on the way back, we got to talk some more, really got to know each other better, and we became better friends.
That's great. Guys, we'll start with Julian. How did you first get involved with Young Life?
So Fish is my basketball coach, so we've been friends for a while now, and we'd be hanging out and stuff, and he'd always be asking me to come down to the Young Life sessions. So I decided to pop through one night, and, you know, everyone was talking about stuff and everything. And it was just a really cool experience. You get to learn about faith and Jesus and just get to meet new people and make new relationships.
That's amazing. What about you, Vic?
So before I started Young Life Camp, I used to be an atheist and had no belief in God whatsoever until my good friend Deirdre invited me to come to Young Life Camp. And at first I was hesitant and really didn't want to go. And it wasn't until my mom forced me to go that I went to Young Life Camp. But I am so glad that I went, and it's changed my life forever.
That's amazing. going on off of that question, Victoria, how has Young Life impacted your faith?
Like I just said, I used to be an atheist. I didn't believe in God at all. And I struggled a lot with loving myself and taking care of myself and being kind to myself. Probably just, it opened my heart a lot in loving myself more and loving people around me. And it allowed me to live every single day through Christ, and not through myself and what I want to do.
That's amazing. Julian, how has Young Life impacted your faith?
So before Young Life, I believed in Jesus and God and everything, but I wasn't really big on religion and stuff. And it's just given me a great opportunity to learn about Jesus and what he's done for everyone. And not only have I learned about my faith, but you also get to learn about, how to live your life, how to be a better person. And it just really helps me a lot.
That's amazing. We're going to start with Julian for this next one. What's a message society is telling kids your age right now?
Society is telling kids our age that really there's like one way to live your life, to be cool and popular, and that you have to go to college, get a normal job to really live a good life.
How do you see Young Life leaders telling you something different?
Young Life leaders tell you that regardless of who you are, that everyone loves you, especially Jesus, and you could always find your answers through him and with him, and that with that you'll be successful in life and you'll live a happy life.
That's great. Victoria, what's a message society is telling kids your age right now?
A message society is telling kids my age right now, especially teenagers, is do this if you want to be happy. Hang out with these people if you want to be happy. Drink this if you want to have a good time. You have to do these certain things or hang out with these certain people or go these places if you want to have a good time or if you want to have fun or if you want to have a fulfilled life. And what my Young Life leader probably would say to that, going on to the next question, they would say that's maybe a thriller for a second, but it doesn't give you happiness forever, and it's very momentarily. And the only way to find happiness and joy and peace within yourself and with others is through God. And God is the person who will fulfill your heart and your soul and work through you in so many ways to truly make you happy.
That's amazing. Guys, thank you so much for jumping on this call with us. We're so grateful to hear about your stories. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today for the Young Life Updates webinar. We're so grateful that you could join us and talk with us a little bit about how Young Life has impacted your life. So why don't we start off by introducing yourselves. We'll go with the name, the school that you attend, or I guess what your grade level is, what school you lead at, and we'll start with that.
My name's Ian Taylor. I'm a post-grad leader, and I'm a leader at Peters Township.
My name is Katie Drennan. I am going into my senior year of college at Duquesne University, and I lead at Upper St. Clair High School.
That's awesome. Katie, why don't you start us off with the first question? What was your first experience with Young Life?
Yeah. I actually didn't have Young Life at my high school, so I didn't really know what it was until I went to college. And just through different friends that I had who were leaders and hearing about their experiences with Young Life and how their high school Young Life leaders impacted their lives, I was really encouraged by them to become a leader. And as I entered into college, I started attending college Young Life events, and then my sophomore year of college, I became a leader.
That's great. Ian, what about you?
So similar to Katie, I didn't have Young Life at my high school, but I went to school with you, Fish, and I went to college with you, and got to kind of experience you as you first got into Young Life, and you invited me on a fall trip this past fall for college leaders, and I came along, and I really just got to catch a glimpse of what it was all about, and yeah, it was awesome. So
That's incredible. We'll start with Ian for this question. Why did you decide to become a Young Life leader?
well, so as Christians, we're all called to the Great Commission, and Young Life just kind of gives a great foundation of that. It kind of gives you a group of people that is really encouraging to you as you try to introduce high schoolers to who Christ is.
That's amazing. Katie, what about you? Why did you become a Young Life leader?
Yeah, pretty similar to Ian. I realized that that was my call for my life. That was my purpose. And through understanding how Jesus did ministry on earth, I realized that that was what he was calling me to do as well. And I realized there was just no other way I really wanted to spend my time.
That's amazing. So why don't we talk about some of the cool, fun things about Young Life? What is the favorite part that you get to take in a Young Life area club as a leader? What's your favorite part? Katie, we can start with you. Sorry.
I'll start with me. I think my favorite part is watching kids at campaigners maybe start to ask questions and just start to get it for the first time. Those like first few moments of maybe after a campaigner lesson that just really hit home for them. I've been able to watch students sit there in a living room and kind of, start shifting their eyes around, and you can just see them kind of mulling it over in their head, and you can see it starting to click, and you can hear them, and you can hear it in their voice how they're thinking, there's something here that I want, there's something here that I need. And I think in their questions that they ask, and in those moments of after a campaigner's lesson, that a student is starting to really see Jesus in a real way for the first time. Those are the sweet moments. Those are my favorite parts.
It's amazing. Ian, what's your favorite part?
So for me, I would say my favorite part is just kind of going to the high schoolers, not letting them come to us. We actually step onto their turf, and we get to see them in their daily lives. And with that, it kind of, I don't know, it lets their guard down, and we just really get to grow our relationships with them as we try to introduce them to Christ. And yeah, I think that's just awesome, just hanging out with them and getting to spend time with them and grow our relationships.
That's incredible. Ian, why do you feel that it's worth spending and sacrificing so much time to be a Young Life leader?
I'd say it's worth it because if I think back to whenever I was in high school, it can be a very confusing time. And it's a pretty critical part of someone's life, right? It's right before they start to go off to college and they start making these decisions that could really impact the rest of their life. So to be able to introduce them to something that is worth living for now at such a critical point, I think that's what makes it all worth it.
I love that. Katie, what does, why is it so worth sacrificing your time to be a Young Life leader?
I think it really, knowing Jesus is the difference between death and life. So being able to use Young Life as a tool to answer the call that God calls us to, and to introduce people to Jesus and to share that with him, with them, is just such a gift that we can share Jesus with people, and sharing the gospel with them and our lives. Also, there's a verse in 1 Thessalonians that I go back to a lot, that says that we share the gospel with people and also our lives because of our care for them. So I think seeing the impact that Jesus has made in my life and how that has taken me from death to life, I never question for a second whether or not it's worth it, because it's a matter of life and death in their lives, and it changes everything.
That's amazing. Guys, thank you so much for jumping on this evening to join us and just tell us about Young Life and what you guys get to do. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. We're so grateful for you sacrificing some of your time to just talk about how Young Life has impacted you. Why don't we start off by getting some introductions? Rob, we can start with you.
Sure. My name is Rob York. I'm a member of the Upper St. Clair Young Life Committee. My wife and I serve on that committee, and we've been on there for roughly about two to 2.5 years.
That's amazing. Go ahead, McCullough.
So we are the McCulloughs. My name is Gary. This is my wife, Dawn, and our son is Brendan McCullough, and he's been involved in Young Life for the last 8 to 10 months.
That's incredible. McCullough, so we'll start with you. First question. What has been your experience with Young Life?
So our son, Brendan, he's a freshman, and he just kind of got involved with it, and it's just like he's blossomed. Like he's raised in a Christian home, and we practice it. We do all the stuff that most Christian homes do, and we love Jesus, and we try to instill that in our kids. But sometimes as parents, you try, but sometimes it doesn't. They hear you, but it doesn't always, you don't see the full action. And whereas he's, I know he loves Jesus, and he's always done, he's just a good kid, but we wanted him to take ownership of his own faith versus just coming from your parents. So, and this has helped him to just kind of identify, the relationship he wants with Christ, and kind of take ownership of it. And it's given him an avenue to, kind of be outside his parents and share, his beliefs and his feelings to somebody other than his parents, and get the input from others. So the experience has been awesome. And, we've seen him grow as a person and as a follower of Christ. So it's been really, really neat to see a different avenue and different people speaking into his life, so we're very thankful for that.
I would just add too that he's our oldest, so it's just like a lot of things in life, things are absorbing to others. So as he becomes a young man and kind of step into that role as the oldest child, to be a leader, so he is very excited about Young Life, very, very positive about it. It's one thing that we don't have to drag him to, a fire for it. So he loves the relationships he has with yourself and the other individuals involved. And so it really is the highlight of his week when he gets together, for sure. But it's a very, very positive thing. And for us, it's very easy that we want him to love Jesus and have the experiences we've had, but it's just something that we don't have to, pull his teeth or kind of drag him to.
And I'll add one more thing. The coolest thing about it is he'll go to a Bible study or a campaign or whatever, and he'll want to talk about it. Like he's excited for it, and to see a 15-year-old boy excited for Jesus and things different than a lot of his friends, it's those things that you pray for as a parent and you can't push, but it's really cool to see the impact it's had on him.
Yeah, that's incredible. We love to hear that. Rob, we'll flip it over to you now, and so we'll ask, why did you decide to serve on Young Life in Upper St. Clair's committee, and then why is it worth investing your time?
So very kind of similar to the McCullough story is that we had kids, and we just felt that there was a need for our kids live in a Christian home too, but there's still a need locally for them to continue their journey and build a closer relationship with Jesus. And so we were approached to actually kind of reinvigorate our middle school program for our middle school kids. It's the wildlife program. And so as we kind of stepped into that role, our role has just progressed more into supporting our volunteers and our director here, and more in both the middle school and high school ministries. So the time has just been amazing. I mean, despite all that's going on, the amount of activity that still goes on virtually and Zoom, and we're still out there reaching kids during this time. And I think that's probably one of the key things, is that the time right now is, these kids are frustrated and they need, a sense of community or a sense of pulling together. And I think Young Life is filling that. It has for years, and it's really filling a key role today.
That's incredible. Rob, what's been the thing you've enjoyed most in your time serving on committee?
We started out doing a lot of these activities with wildlife, and it's a lot of fun when you get, 20, 30 middle school kids in a gym and just going out there and having fun with them for, an hour and a half. I mean, it's exhausting, but it's so rewarding. And, you're bringing Christ to their world. And some of these kids, quite honestly, probably haven't really heard devotionals, and you have others that have. So it's just a good open forum. And so I've always just enjoyed going to the activities and having fun with kids. But being on committee and meeting, you just get in tune with very like-minded parents that have a common goal of just spreading and bringing kids to Christ. And it's just good to be around them. That we all share the same goal. And we all do it in a great manner. And it's great that we've been able, or that Young Life's been able to expand into bringing in Peters Township, because that committee's, we've got to know them over the past year, and they've just been amazing in helping it grow. So it's just been really good, a really good experience to be with them.
That's amazing. McCullough, we're going to come back to you now. And we already sort of touched on it with Brendan being a freshman in high school, but maybe describe for us a little bit more how he has been involved with Young Life.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, well, he like we said, he started probably in the fall. Somehow he was invited. We had known about it, but we kind of lost track of the dates and the day it was meeting. And he was at a mom actually texted me. Brett's mom actually texted me and asked if Brendan was going, and I had lost track of when it was happening, and I was like, oh, when is it? And so I asked Brendan, and he's like, yeah, absolutely. And then from there it just was, he just wanted to go every week. He couldn't wait. He talked about it all week, and so it was, now he looks forward to that, and he goes every week. And if for some reason he can't go or it's canceled, he's bummed, which is cool. It's cool to see. So, and that's, he's doing the Zoom workouts or the yoga, or I'm not sure what it's called, but it's a lot of core stuff. I know that, right?
Yeah, the Zoom workouts, they're amazing.
Yeah. So he's doing that, and he's, he does the campaigners Bible study. So, he's all in, and that's all we can ask for, because he's getting fed, and anytime you're all in on something, it's pretty exciting.
That's incredible. We'll go back to the Yorks. This question will be for both of you guys, but what do you guys love the most about this ministry of Young Life?
Yeah, I think it's, one of the things is just teaching kids that, it's okay to be, to bring Jesus into your life and be proud of it. We're bringing our children up that way. And, one thing I never wanted my kids to ever feel is that they either had to hide the fact that, that they're with Christ, and that, they either need to just not emphasize it or bring it up. And I just think this group just, like you said, like I was saying earlier, you just bring kids together that just begin to feel that love and that fellowship amongst each other. And it just builds confidence in them. So it's just been a great thing for my kids when they've, what it's meant for them, and how it's really pulled some of them and their friends together to really, celebrate, like you said, with On Fire with Christ. So that's really been, what's really truly been awesome.
It's amazing. McCullough, what do you guys love most about the ministry?
I think Rob said it best. One part that I like what he said is the confidence. I think parents, if you really boil it down, we want our children to go out in life and be confident in their values and their foundation and what they stand for. as we know, if you're in the Word and you know the answers and you can refer to them and you can kind of go out in life and use that, and you can arm yourself with, how to be a future husband, and how to be a great sibling, and how to be a great friend, and how to spread that knowledge around when somebody comes to you and asks the question, hey, what's this Jesus thing? I think that that's what you want for your children. That's what we love the most about it is as we've given him all that we can give him to this point at 15 years old, and we'll continue to kind of feed him. But we certainly could use the help, so we certainly appreciate Young Life's involvement with him, kind of keeping him growing, keeping it fresh.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and just getting to talk about how you guys have seen Young Life work and why you are advocates for it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right, thanks, Fish. See ya.
All right. See you, Rob. Thanks.
See you, Rob.
Fish.
See ya. Bye, guys.
Good night.
All right, and we are back, and it is about time to wrap things up. Stay on for just a couple more minutes. We have a few closing remarks. Thank you for joining us tonight. What you just saw is a great example, and just barely touching the surface of what the impact has been here in our area with Young Life. Those are 2 high school kids of hundreds that Young Life leaders are building relationships with, pursuing regularly, and it's a privilege to be a part of it. The leaders who you heard from, again, 2 of 7 of our volunteers, and then as you know, many of you are parents, and there's a sea of parents out there who are excited about what's going on. So we're going to transition now to kind of our closing time. We have 2 final comments to make. We would love for you to ask more questions, but also to get involved if you're interested and willing and wanting to. So right now, Mike is actually going to put in the chat a link to a Google survey. So if you're at all interested in even just hearing more about maybe what it looks like to be on committee, or being a part of a prayer team, or even being a volunteer, Young Life leader, or providing a few other things that we may need to continue doing things, you can fill that out. There's no pressure at all, but we'll be reaching out to you if you give all your information there, and just kind of check boxes that you might be interested in. The other one we recognize is a little bit of a sensitive topic right now. We know that because we're in the middle of a pandemic, things are crazy, and it's a challenge for many people. So what I want to make clear is that we don't want to offend anybody. In fact, we just want to be clear and forthright in saying we have, in order to continue doing what we do with Young Life in the area, we rely on 100% local funding. So we know not everyone's in a position to be able to give right now, but in order to keep doing what we're doing, that is just one of the necessary things about continuing to do this ministry. So we have a budget that allows Mike and I to be on full time, and we're grateful for that. So if you feel at all inclined or able or excited about giving to be able to support this ministry moving forward, he's going to put another link in there for the giving website where you can do that online. Obviously, no pressure at all. We understand that is just something that some people may not be able to do at all right now. But we just wanted to give you the option and know that it is appreciated. So that is going to close our time. I have a little slide that I'm going to put up here just as we close our time with references that I just mentioned. So I'll put that on here, and as that is on the screen, you all can exit if you'd like. I would save those links if you're wanting to navigate to those, copy and paste them into a browser. We did record this event, so if you are wanting to share this with anyone else, that should be sent in an email to you if you registered, or you can find it on one of our Facebook pages, Young Life Upper St. Clair or Young Life Peters Township, tomorrow morning. So that closes our time, and we thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.